Hi there, my name's Jane Anderson and this is the Jane Anderson Brand You Show. It's the podcast for experts who want to have greater impact, influence and income for their businesses and careers. As experts, we know that people buy from people and work with people who they know, who they like and who they trust. So I am so glad you're here because it's that time again now to really amplify how you show up in the world. Hi there and welcome to the Jane Anderson Brand You Show, where we talk all things personal branding. As you know, this podcast is all about inspiring you to set up your business under yourname.com, because we know that people buy from people and they buy from people who they know, who they like and who they trust. And today's is a very special episode because I'm not going to be doing so much of the talking today, but I have a very, very, very special guest who understands intimately the whole personal branding concept and what makes you unique and how you bring your best self to the world. So today it's our very special guest. He is an expert in unlocking business artistry. He helps senior executives, he helps experts, entrepreneurs unleash their creativity and design collaborative cultures that foster true innovation. He's a keynote speaker. He does things like event theme weaving, where he does live performance and event experience design. He also mentors experts, executives and entrepreneurs in unleashing their own business artistry. And he works with teams in terms of strategic offsite and executive team workshop facilitation type programs. Our guest is based in Melbourne, but he travels all over Australia and if not globally. But he works particularly in a couple of really exciting and emerging fields, which are called artisan thinking and cultural architecture. He is on a passionate crusade to liberate us from limiting beliefs, outdated ideologies and archaic work environments that stifle creativity, suffocate collaboration and hinder true innovation. He has worked with some of the some leading organisations in Australia, including places like Tennis Australia, Red Cross, World Vision, the City of Melbourne, and Melbourne Fashion Week. He is a creative genius, and I am so excited to have our very welcome guest. Got my words tied up, Mr. Mykel Dixon.
Jane, wow, that was a monumental introduction.
We got there.
Well done. Well, that's it. That's all we got time for this show. So thank you so much.
Our time's up.
Yeah.
I have to say, you know, it's before Mykel and I came on here, I said, geez, I feel like I'm going into a hairdresser with dirty hair going in front of Mykel Dixon. This guy is an extraordinary creative genius. So, Mykel, you know, you're just doing such extraordinary work, but people love to hear it from you. So can you tell us a bit about the type of work that you're doing? Who do you help and how do you make this all work? It's just incredible.
Oh, thank you. I'm just trying to process that intro that you just gave me. It's amazing. Very much aligned with the work that you do, Jane, and very honoured to be here because I, like you, believe in the power of brand you. And I think that we're definitely entering a time where it is vital that we step into that, own that, and amplify that. So I help independent consultants, solo entrepreneurs, other thought leaders or organizations essentially unlock their full self-expression. Mm-hmm. I like to call it authentic X factor. But really just getting as close to your truth as you can, pulling anything that might be in the way and just standing in that and expressing that, because that's it just sets you apart in any field, whether you're looking to progress internally in an organization or whether you're running your own business or practice. It's just the surest, fastest way for you getting noticed and having more impact and more influence and more income is if you are just 100% you.
Yeah. And Mykel, like when you're working with people, what are the problems that you see that they're having that you realise that they're not fully self-expressed, and that's what the actual issue is. How would someone know that that's the problem that they've got? What would be happening?
It's difficult because of the culture that we were all born into. We're lucky enough to be in this country and growing up in the first world, all these opportunities, but a large percentage of our education and this industrialization mindset has really, it's turned us all into parrots, and we have a favor for fitting in as opposed to trusting our own truth and stepping into that. So the biggest thing I think is giving people permission and reminding them it's not so much about becoming something else. It's a return to who they were before they went to school, before they went to uni and got a job. It's kind of, it's a return before you progress.
Wow, it's interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way. It's a return. So the work you do is kind of, you almost go back to when were they really that true self, and how do we get that to come to life again? Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like a regression type of thing. It's not therapy, but I mean, look at any child at 2 or 3. They're just having the time of their lives. They're fully self-expressed. They're exploring. They're curious. They're creative. Imagination is running wild. There are no boundaries, but they're going to find them. And we get too safe the older we get, and we get really scared because we make a few stories up along the way. We have different things happen to us, and it's really about just creating that space for yourself to remember, wow, maybe there was something else that I used to do. Maybe there was something else that I used to love. Maybe there's something else to me that I've been suppressing or limiting unknowingly, as I try not to get kicked out of the tribe as I grow older and older.
So it sounds like almost like sometimes we hit that wall in whether it's our work or in our businesses and things like that, where we kind of go, is this all there is? Like, I'm on this treadmill of paying bills and mortgages and life, and is that sometimes one of the challenges that people come to you with as well? Like, they go, I think there's more to me here, but I'm just on this treadmill of life, and it kind of feels like that's it. Is there any more fulfilling than this?
And where to begin? Yeah, right. Like recognizing that is actually a wonderful beginning. It's the start of something, but then the next block is really like, well, where do I start? What do I do with this?
And Mykel, your story itself is quite interesting. Would you be happy to share with us what led you to doing this work? Because you've had an extraordinary career and background before you started this journey under yourname.com too. What contributed to taking this path?
I would have to give a lot of cred to my parents. Both of them are consultants and running their own business and independent facilitators. So that was always running in the background, but they were also incredibly supportive of my own my creativity and self-expression. So I was a musician by trade. I left school early, studied a little bit at jazz school, but then quit that. And I've traveled a lot. I've spent a lot of time overseas. I made my money through my art. So I never really had real jobs. I never worked in an office. And I just followed and trusted that, I don't know, that it would all turn out. But it didn't. I wanted $1 million record deal and I didn't get one. Right. But along the way, I realized that I never really wanted it in the first place. And what I really wanted was to help unlock people and their self-expression, which was actually a mirror, because I was trying to unlock it in mine. I'm getting a little bit deep here. I hope, it's not going off topic. No. It's really funny how you see things, how things mirror. So going back, I mean, we were talking about childhood before, so I guess it's in the front of my mind. But I remember I was a kid, and there was a few things that happened to me in school where, they had an anti-Dicko club, a bunch of kids. I still remember their names that did it. And they were just kids being kids, right?
Oh,
but
wow.
Stuff like that showed up throughout my life. And then I found myself later running events and putting on live parties and with cross-cultural stuff with arts and music and dance, and all of it was designed to try to make people feel safe enough to express who they are. Right. But underneath that was, I wanted a space safe enough for me to express who I was. So there was this real duality there. And Yeah, I feel really, really grateful, and I'm not sure who, but I think that that's also part of why I've ended up where I am. Is that I just feel really blessed that I somehow retained that spirit of abundance and the spirit of creativity and trusted it rather than giving it away. And now I just want everybody to feel like that.
Well, I think one of the best examples I've seen of that, how you've helped someone, is if you want to check out, for those listening, you want to check out Dr. Jason Fox's video on his website at the moment, and it's on his so Dr. Jason Fox's his new book Quest is out at the moment, and Mykel has helped him create his video that captures really who Jason is. And I think that video, just, if that was, to capture the essence of the work that you do and how you've helped someone come to life, and you've created that space for someone. I think the work that you've recently done with Dr. Jason Fox is just incredible. So congratulations. It's just beautiful.
He was an amazing guy to work with.
Was he?
One, because his brand is like his baby. He is so good at it, and he guards it like a newborn.
Right.
And it was a privilege and honor and somewhat terrifying momentarily to think, okay, he's trusting me with this. But even him, this is a really important point, I think, is even he was so close to his work that he knew that he was maybe playing it a bit safe. He knew what worked for him. He knew what was, he knew how to work it in his way, but he couldn't quite see, what could take him to the next level.
Right.
And having someone else that he trusted but that had an eye for it, they could come in and say, okay, dude, this is what I want to see from you. And I'm pretty sure this is what a lot of people want to see from you. And it might be difficult for you to feel straight up, but just go with it. And he did. And when he first saw that video, I think he was a little like, oh no, this is too much about me. I don't think I can cope with this.
Humble.
He's so humble, so modest. But we love him so much. We want to know more about him, and knowing his why, which is such an important point for all your listeners, I think, is not be afraid to share your why. And in a really authentic way, in a way that you maybe think other people won't be interested in.
Yes.
Not in a self-indulgent way where you just pour your heart out about you, but if you can find a way or find someone that can help you share the really authentic, vulnerable you and why you do what you do, it's very magnetic. It draws you in, and it just turns followers to fans,
Yeah, it does. And I think there are a few moments in Jason's video that it's the incredible attention to detail, I think, that you've worked with him on as well. I think there are a few moments that I love in that video where he's sitting and on the chair and he's writing in his book and he's squirming, like he's moving, like it's bothering him.
Exactly.
That he has to, he's frustrated and trying to get his head around whatever he's thinking about in that moment, because that's what's keeping him up. And I think, but there's other things in that video and they're just little things. There's one, my favourite little spot in that video. There's that with Jason really grappling with what he's trying to articulate, whatever the problem is. And then the other moment is when he's on his skateboard and the tail of his jacket just flicks up. Like it's just magic. It's just the littlest thing, but I went, oh, look at that. For you to find those things, it's all those little things that add up. But gee, looked at that moment and I went, yeah, I think someone without that level of expertise would have not seen that opportunity to do that. But that's who Jason is. That flying, the flying jacket on the skateboard.
Yep,
fantastic.
Pioneer.
Yeah,
that is thrilling to hear, and at the same time, it's no surprise that you found all those things because you're the master. You are the undisputed master of branding. But it's so wonderful to hear because there really was a lot that went into that, into all the tiny details and the sequence and the flow, and it's great. I'm so glad that you got all of that.
It was like watching, it's like playing tennis, like with one of those tennis ball machines with the balls coming at you really quick and you're trying to catch them. I felt like that watching the video. I was like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that.
That's awesome.
It was just fantastic. So anyway, for those who haven't seen it, make sure you go and check out Mykel's work that he's done with Jason Fox. It is just magnificent and it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
So I find that, Mykel, for some of the people, now if we think about your name, like this is I think it's quite interesting having you on the show with your name because the show's about yourname.com and what makes, you are what makes everything unique and different and differentiates you in your market. Now, in your case, yourname.com, your name is spelt Mykel. And are you happy to share with us a bit about, what that's meant for you having a different spelt name? I know this sounds like a really...
No.
It sounds like a really, basic question, but I think it's really important because your name is such a key part of your messaging and your branding.
It's a gateway. It's not a simple question. So for your wonderful listeners, I'll let them in on a truth which will be very relevant for them. But when I was in high school, I was born with the spelling of my name the normal way, Mychael, and I shouldn't say normal, just that was the spelling. But in high school, I liked symmetry, and I used to just five letters in Dixon, Dixon, 5 letters in Mykel, Mykel, and I play around with stuff. And I would do this constantly. I was always drawing things and mucking things up and rearranging them. And being a musician and thinking about bands and how do you stand out and all of these things, and you've got your Madonna or you've got most movie stars have changed their name, or your Mark Anthony's and whatever, you get 2 first names. I remember figuring that out when I was in high school. I was like, that's what they do. And it's like the great Matt Church, he says superficial is anything but in this game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of thought that goes behind it. And I just kind of thought, well, this was before the big .com boom too. And I thought this is probably going to... Mykel Dixon spelt a normal way just isn't rock star. It's just not going to stand out in any way.
Yeah.
And so I changed it. And then the big, the internet started going bananas and social media came out. And it was great for me because I could get all of my handles. I could get the website .com easily.
Right.
And it was positioned really well. Sure, in the beginning I copped a lot of flack from friends and not so much family, but just people that were close to me that couldn't understand why I wanted to do it and had all kinds of opinions about it,
yes.
which, I find that quite hilarious too. And another important point is that generally it's the people that are closest to you that have the hardest time when you try to brand yourself, when you try to be, the fullest expression of who you are. So it can be a real nightmare.
Yes.
But, it's really important to get something unique, and particularly a .com and particularly yourname.com. It inspires and informs everything you do. So I can't recommend it highly enough.
And Mykel, when you started to sort of touch on some of the challenges there, perhaps around the people around you. Before, so you'd always had MykelDixon.com. You always run your business under that name?
I'd have lots of different bands.
Yeah, okay.
This actually ties into that last point as well, I guess. I still had a hard time. I would always start the bands. I would always write all the songs. I'd book all the gigs. I'd run the money. I'd do the whole thing. But I just couldn't be that leader. I couldn't own that.
Right.
So I would eventually call it Mykel Dixon and something. Okay. And then over time, drop the Mykel Dixon and just have the band name. And it would be starting a business.
Okay.
And not having myname.com. But then I'd get lost in there and then it just got confusing, and it was just because I was afraid to own myself, essentially, and what other people thought of me that was standing in the way. Mm-hmm. But there was a real mixed message there because after a lot of gigs for many, many years, people would come up and say, dude, what are you doing? Why don't you just call it your name? I mean, everyone knows it's your thing. That's why we're here. Why do you bother with a band or a business? Just go for it. But I couldn't at that time just didn't have the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that would be the same for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I find, when I'm talking to people, and I don't know if you find this, or particularly in the music industry, I'm not as familiar with, but I find that we've got a couple of challenges. Is the tall poppy in Australia, where it's not cool to stand out and say, look at me, look at me.
Yep.
And but there's also that challenge of not making things about myself. I don't want to look like I'm cocky and arrogant or a know-all or anything like that. And I did it myself, which is why I'm so passionate about it. Because when I first had my first business, my business was a different name, and I didn't want to be the center of attention. I didn't want to be, I wanted the products and the services to speak for themselves, and I just happened to deliver them. But I made the mistake that every time I tried to bring in contractors or other people, probably a bit like you with the bands, everyone just wanted to just deal with me. And I really grappled with that for some time, and until, like you said, the confidence to kind of go, all right, well, okay, well, looks like this is what people want, so I'll do it. But was there anything that you did, or was there a point where you realised that, okay, I have to, now I can see that it's actually not about me, it's about my customers and my clients, and that's what they connect with? Did you have a moment where you realised that?
I think, but also I think I needed the right people to tell me and remind me that.
Okay.
I think there's so much value in finding a mentor or finding a community that stands for you and that can see what's possible for you beyond your own comprehension or what you can see for yourself. Because if I had have had that sooner, I think I would have changed it and stood in it sooner.
Right.
But, when you're out there on your own and you're battling with this and trying to figure it out, it's really tough.
Yeah.
And this, like you said, the tall poppy thing, it's debilitating.
Especially when often they're your own family.
It is. It's crazy. That's what before we were talking about. The people closest to you end up being the biggest roadblocks. It's really tough.
Yeah. And I think, it's hard because they come from a place of care. They don't want to see you hurt, and you grapple with trying to listen to them versus know what you're trying to do. But,
exactly.
Their heart's in the right place. But
yeah, exactly.
So, Mykel, really keen to hear about what you're doing over the next 12 to 18 months. You've written this incredible black paper for anyone that wants to go out and jump on Mykel's website, and he'll talk a bit about that in a minute. But you've written this beautiful black paper, and I sent it to a number of people because it's just even how you turn a white paper into a black paper in a work of art is beyond me. It's just beautiful. The work you're doing is incredible. So tell us about, you've come from where you have, and now this incredible work you're doing right now. Where are you? What are your plans for the next 12 to 18 months?
I have a book coming out in the next month called Just Do Something, and Just Do Something, a guidebook from turning dreamers into makers, which is very much aligned with what we're talking about. It's about unlocking your creative process as a way to step into your truth and start designing a life that better reflects who you are and who you want to be. So I'll launch that, and then from the launch of that book, I'll then do a monthly meetup down here in Melbourne, which I might extend up into Sydney. I'm really looking forward to getting some very renowned leading artisan thinkers, so some musicians, some dancers, some chefs and interior designers, and a whole bunch of different guests every month to share their insights and run through a bunch of stuff in how we can apply mindsets, behaviors, principles from the arts into our life. It's going to be, I can just see this more and more, the way that we're all creators now. We all have to be content creators, particularly in brand new stuff. And you want to be creative. If your stuff is not, if it's not creative and it's not congruent with who you are and you're not sharing it with conviction, then, you just be one of the many beige, off-white,
Yeah.
nuff, things, and you just won't find the success that you deserve.
Yes.
So continue to do that. And that book was actually born out of this process myself. I ended up in Cambodia randomly a few years ago. I bought a bar on a beach. I built a guest house and a Mexican restaurant. I did a bunch of cool stuff. But the third year that I was there, I built a geodesic dome in the jungle, and it was to determine whether or not I would continue with a creative life or not. I needed to know. And I explored with lots of different processes, one of which was just to ship something every day. Right. So when I came back to Melbourne, I wrote a song a week for 50 weeks. And then the next year I did a spoken word piece every week for 50 weeks. I put them up online. Then I got into a quicker cadence where I wrote this book in 50 days. And then I recently finished another project called Someone, which is a book about love in 50 days. I want to do 3 more of these this year.
Wow.
So it's creating something every day for 50 days. And people have been joining me on this quest, and it's been blowing me away. So I've had people that are redecorating a different space in their home every day for 50 days. I've had people that are cooking a different locally sourced organic vegan meal every day for 50 days. Just different ways of exploring your creativity and imagination and applying that to your life. And the results that they're getting, and I know that I personally have got, are transformational. It's just awesome stuff, yeah.
Wow, that sounds incredible. It would be wonderful to hear. And even some of those people that are doing it, Mykel, are you capturing their stories or case studies and things like that along the way as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool, great. So we can hear more about that.
Yeah.
Cool. So if our listeners who would love some of your time and to be able to work with you perhaps on their own creativity, if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for people to find you?
Website or social media accounts, mykeldixon.com, mykeldixon.com. Same name for all the handles, or mykel@mykeldixon.com is the email. Punch through something, check out the site, connect. I'd love to hang out and see what you guys are up to, and if there's alignment between us, and looks like we could do something creative together. I'd love to work with some of your peeps, Jane.
Cool. Well, he's kind of been like a bit of a, what would you say, a bit of a dark horse, I think, Mykel. You've been sort of working away there on all your pieces, and now it's all coming to life. So, and I think, just being able to see some of the pieces of work you're doing lately, particularly your book and the work with Dr. Jason Fox and your blogs, and the work that you're doing is just phenomenal. And I think for the future of work, one of the things I talk a lot about is the future of work, and if there's going to be any people who survive in this world, are those people who can, by 2020, 50% of the workforce are going to be self-employed is one that we talk about. Yep. But for those organisations, I think if we look at the age of disruption and organisations that have got out working with clients at the moment, those organisations are ripe for commoditisation. When there's commoditisation, means that we've been like toothpaste on the supermarket shelf, and people go, I don't know which one to buy, so I'll just buy the one that's on special. So we're just going to end up in this world of beige, and your uniqueness comes from your artisan thinking and your creativity, and that's certainly the edge for the future. So,
couldn't agree more.
So I'm in love with your work. I just think it's extraordinary. So keep up your amazing work, and we'll have to have you back and find out how you're traveling. And but for those out there, check out Mykel's work. Make sure you connect with him on LinkedIn. He writes fantastic blogs, and if you're in corporate world, you can check out what he's doing, and he can work with your teams as well. So that concludes our podcast for this week. If you would like to keep in touch with me, you are very welcome to. You're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I also have the Connect book, which is my Leverage Your LinkedIn profile for business growth and lead generation in less than 7 minutes a day. So you can jump on the website, jane-anderson.com and download it there. You can also get it on Amazon and on Kindle too. And equally, if you would like to purchase my Impact book, the Impact book is available on all those spots. And Impact is how to build your personal brand in the connection economy. I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to connect on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I'd love to hear what you got out of the podcast today, and make sure you connect with Mykel. So have a fantastic rest of the week.